I note the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious, and some thrive for comedy. Hello, those are the great words by the indomitable Maya Angelou, and today we're here for the comedy. If you have not been on the stream before, welcome. This is the Creative Challenge for Adobe Illustrator. My name is Andrew Hochradel. I will be here for the comedy for the next few days as you've joined us on this journey. Hello, friends. Gregory Wolf is here. Alberto, Colby, Monica. Oh, a lot of people checking in from Cave Creek, Arizona. Nick. Hi, friends. Nice to see you again. Always a joy. So, again, my name is Andrew Hochradel, as you can see down below here. If you want to follow along, you can follow at hawk.co here on Behance or on any other social media. We are in a journey together to be learning Adobe Illustrator. Now, today we're talking about gradients, which is going to be a very fun time. We have a couple things that I want to talk to you about before we get started. Hi, Miguel. Hi, Cassidy. It's always great to see some familiar faces. Tiana, thank you. Hola from Mexico. Hello. All right. Also, my voice is really cracky and weird today, so hold on. It's going to be a ride. Let's jump over and talk a little bit about what we are doing today. Oops, there are all kinds of wrong things happening on my screen right now. Let me go ahead and turn these off real quick. That needs to go away. And also this can go away. There we go. I was streaming last night on my Behance, so things got a little different. You can join us at behance.net/challenge/illustrator. That is how you get involved with the daily creative challenges. And Dever, you're new. Welcome to the family. Everyone say hi to Dever. Give him a nice @ in chat. So you can join us behance.net/challenge/illustrator. And you can click here to sign up for the challenges. It will notify you every day that the challenges are coming and that they are live each day we go live. You also can click here to chat with the community, and that is us. That is our community that we have in Discord, which I'll show you in a second. So you can watch all of the past ones that we've done. We made some pies and charts. We did some baking. We made some menus. Today we're going a little bit Sweeney Todd, so the pies may come back into play. But we will be working with gradients. You can download your source file here by clicking Get Started. So also another way to get into our community is to go up here to bit.ly/AI Discord. This is the spot and the place for you to get plugged in, to get connected, and to join our thriving community. And when I say thriving community, boy, is it thriving. Let's hop over there and see how thrivey it is. So right now, people are posting in the challenge tab. They're posting their challenges from yesterday. We were doing a lot of menu design, which is fun. Some old challenges coming in here. And so we have great mentors that are in there giving feedback, helping you with your type hierarchies, with your blending modes, whatever the challenge is, we are there to help you. I'll be going live again on my Behance tonight at 8 p.m., giving you feedback on your challenges, as well as working on some branding for a client that we've been working with. We're going to be doing wireframes for websites tonight, so we might be in XD a little bit. Don't tell Illustrator. So come join me for that 8 p.m. tonight. And yeah, you guys are doing great posting your work here. As you follow the challenges, make sure to join the Discord, post your work here, and it's a great resource for you to get connected. So something else that you can do is to apply for the Adobe Community Residency Fund. Adobe Creative Residency Community Fund. My goodness, all those words got mixed up. And you can do that at the link that Wade is about to drop into chat. And you can apply for anywhere from $500 to $5,000 for a project or a commission. Adobe is investing back into the creative community, making sure that there really is creativity for all. So go ahead, get involved with that. It's a great opportunity, and it really shows that Adobe is for us as creatives, and they are fighting and investing into our features, which I absolutely love. So thanks, Adobe. Let's go ahead and hop into... do we want to hop right into our lesson? I only had 3 minutes of announcements. That's unheard of for one of my streams. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and hop in. If you haven't joined us before, my name is Andrew Hochradel. I like to do a type of education called infotainment, where we got a little bit of information and a lot of bit of entertainment. We're going to have fun today. We will be working in the context of a cooking show. We are setting up a restaurant, and all of our challenges have been restaurant or cooking themed. So today we are going to take a journey back into Hawk's Kitchen, and as this intro plays, I have more daily creative challenges coming up. If you have a theme that you would love to see us do over a daily creative challenge, drop it in chat as we go through this little bumper video and intro, and I'll see you all in Hawk's Kitchen. Hello, hello, hello. We are back. We are back in our kitchen. My goodness, we are hanging out. I finally have figured out how to fit in frame in our kitchen. A sports theme, comic book themes, lots of great suggestions coming through. Those are great ideas. That could be fun to do a sports theme. So let me know if you have other suggestions for themes. That would be really fun. Today, we are making soup. We will be making soup using freeform gradients, which could be really, really fun, or it could be totally disastrous, and that's the fun of it. We can do anything we want. There are no wrong answers with design, especially in Illustrator. As long as it works, and as long as you're having fun, that's what counts in these challenges. So let's go ahead and hop over to our challenge. And before we get started, I want to show you a great tool that is outside of the Adobe family, but is a really great tool if you want to experiment with gradients. So we're talking all about gradients. So let's pop over here, and it's a website called Gradient, and maybe Gradient. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's made by our friends at Unfold. Perhaps you've seen Peter Del Tondo do some of the XD challenges. He does this. He works with Unfold, and they've created this great resource to help you find some great gradients. And we'll be using some of this today for freeform gradients. It's just a great resource of really gorgeous gradients. And you can come in here. You can adjust the rotations if you want of that gradient to experiment with it. You can add in another color if you like, and you can play with all kinds of different things. So this is just a quick, fun way to grab some gradients, to play with some really nice gradients for buttons or for things like that. We're going to do a lot of this in Illustrator. This is just a great step in to very quickly find some resources and play around with them and customize them to you. And yes, freeform gradients, Keith, can be a little bit hit and miss. We're going to work and talk about them today. So let's hop over into Illustrator. All right. So if you haven't, you can download this source file at behance.net/challenge/illustrator. And let's go ahead and read the challenge for today. The challenge is to use freeform gradients and gradient maps to level up your color game. Use these tools to add flair to any object. And today we'll be using really all kinds of gradients. It says freeform gradients. We'll use all of them. Why not? In our quote for today, and I mentioned it earlier, if you can tell me what show it's from, let me know. See this one shine, how he smiles in the light, my friends. Let me know what show that's from. That's what we're doing today. We're making these knives shine in the light. A little menacing, but a little fun. So let's hop in and start talking about gradients. We're going to start and work left to right, because I think that's how you're supposed to work. I don't know, when you're eating. So let's go ahead and select, all these shapes are actually together. That's my bad. So if you're working on this, just right click and go to ungroup so we can work with them individually. And then we're going to come over here and click on this gradient tool over in our toolbar. So we click there, and when we select this object, you'll see that it gives us, I'm going to zoom in here. It gives us this nice little line. And what this is doing is think about it's starting at one place and heading toward another, right? We're starting at this color and going to another color. So you can see as we drag this starting point color over, this gradient is starting to transition between those two colors. So as we're working with the knife, I want to kind of play around with making it look kind of metallic. So what we can do is we know that we want it to go to maybe a silver, to a darker silver. There we go. So this is what we would call a directional gradient. So we have the gradient starting at one color, heading toward another in a certain direction. And that's all great and well, but we want to add a little sparkle and a little shine. So what we can do is we can actually add more colors to this. If you see my cursor there has the little plus, if you hover right underneath that line, you can start adding in more colors. So now we can add in a little bit of odd reflections, a little bit of dimension here, and add in some more of these lines. There we go. So now we zoom out, and it's starting to look a little more metallic, a little more shiny. It probably would be better if we had like a cut here somewhere. Maybe this is just one big knife though. So something else that we can do with a with a directional gradient is you can come over into your gradient panel over here right behind my head. Let's grab that and pull it over here. And you can rotate. So we can change the direction to give it a little more of that blur. Let's go ahead and sure, let's do that. And that's looking good for me, but the problem is at the top here, it's the same color as the background. So what I can do is select this color and just change it to something maybe a little bit darker. Or, you know what, let's go a little bit lighter. There we go, right in the middle. So now we've got a nice, oops, I hit the wrong button. There we go. So now we got a nice gradient on this. This would be a directional gradient starting at one place and heading toward another. And then we've added some points on the pathway to get to those. So next, we are going to work with a radial gradient. And a radial gradient is something that starts in the middle and goes out. So the starting color is in the middle, and then it goes out into the other color on the outside. So we're going to make this circle here. It looks like a plate, but we're going to make it a bowl. And the way that we make it a bowl is we are going to, again, select our gradient tool, click on here, and we are going to select this middle one. That is the radial gradient. And it's taking over and capturing this gradient that we had before. I don't necessarily want that, so I can click and just drag these out, and it will make it so that those go away. So I want to start very light in the middle. We're just going to start with white, kind of pull this out. There we go. And by sliding this on the scale, you can see that it's where it stops, or sorry, where it starts to make that transition. So we really want this to kind of be round, kind of have that bowl. There we go. Looking pretty good, right? Looking kind of bowly. So we have our bowl here, and I want to start filling this with some soup. Soup is going to be what we work with. So with that, I want to go ahead and I'm just going to make a circle. I'm hitting L to grab the ellipse tool and making a circle from the center, holding Shift and Option. And here you can see we have this radial gradient, but we don't want that. We want it to be a soup that maybe has different kinds of sauces in it, right? Maybe it's some kind of I like to think about ramen, right? That it has kind of that like dark soy sauce kind of look, but then it also has some like oil bubbles in it, that it's kind of like that brothy kind of look. So we're going to play around with that. And we're going to select up here the Freeform gradient tool. And the Freeform gradient tool will give us all kinds of, there we go, all kinds of little points. And these little points are basically, try to think of them as water balloons. And I've described this before, but we have our circle and think that we're at the top and we're dropping water balloons, right? Or maybe we are doing drops of a sauce or food coloring. And it hits that and it will splash and kind of move out, right? Think of it as putting coffee or milk in coffee, right? You put a drop and it starts to spread out in that coffee. So we are just putting in where we want those drops to be. Hopefully an easy way for you to remember. So we can click on these little drops and kind of designate the colors. I want this to be maybe a more brothy kind of look. So we're going to do some yellows in here. And we can do a bunch of different kinds of yellows, but then we also want it to be kind of dark, right? To have kind of that soy sauce that is kind of pushed through. So we can keep adding in little dots to make this a little eclectic, to make sure that we have gradients that are going through. And we can move those around however we want, wherever we want to. We can also grab this and extend it if we want it to be more of that color, or bring it in if we want it to be less of that color. So I want more of this kind of brown frothiness. There we go. Yeah, that's feeling good for me. and then maybe bring this over there. Right, so now we're starting to work with, it's starting to look very gradient-y. It's very, kind of these points are interacting with each other, which is great. And I feel like that looks pretty good for a soup. I think we need something maybe down here. So let's add in a little more of that yellow down in the corner. And you can do that by just hitting Edit Gradient up here. So we're going to drop in one more water balloon, one more drop. And here, let's make this one kind of a more orangey yellow. Let's just do yellow. There we go. We're going to pull that off to the side just so it has a little bit. There we go. Excuse me. And yes, there is a new updates today. There are all kinds of new updates today, so make sure you go check that out. Hopefully you saw the videos this morning going through all those updates. There's a lot of great stuff coming. And I believe Illustrator has cloud documents now, so you can check that out. Maybe Wade, if you can find a link to that information, you can drop it in there. If not, we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow as well. 99U is coming up as well, so stay tuned for that. But we're dropping this in, and I want to do some little oil drops. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to start layering both the freeform gradient and a radial gradient. So to get a nice little oil drop, I'm going to make a circle, and this is going to be a big oil drop. And then I'm going to fill that. Again, click on this gradient tool, click on our shape, and I'm going to do this radial gradient right in the middle. And I know that I want the oil to kind of have maybe a dark yellow center, and then we have maybe a little bit more of that like membraney kind of outside. There we go. Let's actually make this kind of more soy saucy. My goodness. Let's see. Oops. I want to grab just that. There we go. Kind of pull that in. There we go. So we got this little dot. Maybe it's a boba bead, right? Maybe it's some kind of boba. Oh, let's do that. Let's do it as a salmon or as a what's calamari? No. Caviar. That's the word. So let's do caviar. So let's do it with that orange and then a little bit of that darker orange. There we go. A little caviar ball. And so now you can see as we start to layer this over, I can make these little caviar balls that are kind of floating in here that maybe we would eat within our soup. So again, these are radial gradients. They are starting from the middle and working their way out. And then we have the freeform gradient over it to kind of create that little look, to create the kind of brothy look. I'm also going to drop in some little, let's just do little rectangle squares. These are going to be, let's see here, let's do celery. So in the gradient panel up here, another way to do this is just to click on directional, and we're going to make this celery a little bit of green and then a little bit of light green. And we're going to do it so the celery kind of has 3. So we'll go back to that dark green on the other side. This middle green is a little bit too light, so let's fix that. There we go. So now we've got a piece of celery. Kind of fun. And someone said this could be a pool party. This could be a pool party. So I'm going to drop in some more pieces of celery. Maybe these are green onions. Who knows? And I'm just copying these by clicking and dragging, holding Alt or Option. So we've got a couple of those kind of floating around in our soup. And now you can notice that it feels like things are not cohesive, not all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with blending modes. I'm going to make another circle, right? Holding L. Hitting L or the ellipse tool. I'm going to make it, oops, I'm going to find the center of this. There we go. And just make another circle over the whole thing. And here I'm going to set the blending mode to multiply. And by setting it to multiply, it's going to actually get rid of all of the white. And let me set up the gradient first. So we're going to do a freeform gradient, and this is sitting on top of everything else. So when I hit multiply, it's going to take away all of the white parts right here and leave the darker parts. So what I'm going to do is start putting in some more of these kind of yellow colors that we've been working with. And this is going to help to merge the shapes below. Maybe there's some red. Yeah. It's helping to interact with these elements that we've put underneath, right? You can see how it's changing the celery from green to that darker color because it's multiplied on top. And we can keep playing around with this and adding in. So the white is going to make it so that it's just see-through. And let's keep adding in a couple more little color splotches to make this a really delicious, really unique kind of soup. So one more down here. And again, we are just painting with color at this point. It's just a matter of, yikes, that looked gross. So it's a matter of playing with color. There we go. Now we've got this nice little kind of gumbo going. You can see how this shape that's on top that is multiplying is interacting with these little elements. If we zoom out and just move this, you'll see that this is a freeform gradient of itself we're using for color and tone. And you can see when I undo that, it will go over these shapes, start to move, and you'll see the interactions happen, right? So kind of cool how that shape that sits above it and multiplies down, all of the light parts go away, and then all of the color parts interact and multiply with the colors underneath. So work with stacking freeform gradients, and you can create some really cool and fun and delicious stuff just like this. Now, we also can grab this silverware that we have here, and we're going to use the eyedropper tool to just make that same gradient over here. And I'm going to move that to a little bit more. There we go. A little bit of that gradient. This background color is actually a little too dark for me, so I'm just going to turn that off. There we go. And now we have silverware using directional gradients. Then we have our radial gradient for our bowl, another radial gradient for some of our caviar, some directional gradients for our celery that is floating in here. And then we have 2 layered freeform gradients to create that brothy, kind of soupy look. Yes, they could be carrots too. Maybe it's not carrots, it's caviar. Or maybe it's not caviar, it's carrots. So play around and work with gradients to make a delicious soup. Put whatever ingredients you want in it. Maybe make it a gumbo. Maybe make it a stew. Play around and layer those gradients. Make some silverware. Make maybe a napkin. And play with gradients. See what you can do, especially the freeform gradients. Can get a little overwhelming and a little crazy. But hopefully going back and watching this will help you have a clear picture of what to do with those. So let's go ahead and look at what's coming up next throughout the day, and then we'll do a quick recap of all the things we talked about today. So next up, we have Julie Sandusky hanging out with us, Andrea Hawk all week with me, hanging out doing the Adobe XD challenges, and then Alice Lee is doing doodle therapy at the end of the day. So make sure you stick around for those. Don't miss out. There's great content coming to you from Adobe Live all week this week. And again, you can get involved at bit.ly/AI Discord. This is where you can post your challenges, show me your soups, show me your stews, show me your gumbos. Post them in that challenge tab at our Discord link right there. So let's do our quick review. We have 3 minutes. You know, if you ever need to catch up on one of my lessons, skip to the last 3 minutes and we do a review of everything that we have done today. So let's do our review. So today our challenge was to create to use freeform gradients and gradient maps to level up our color game. We use these tools to add flair to any object. Our table was set with silverware that was flat, and we went in and added a directional gradient to this using the gradient tool. And this directional gradient had multiple points that we put along the line, and then we rotated it to create a shine. We also copied that over to these ones over here. Now in the middle, we had a plate that we needed to turn into a bowl. So we used a radial gradient, which starts at the middle and grows out to another color. We created that bowl using the radial gradient tool, and you can see that it starts here, the white is here, and it transitions to that gray. So it created that 3D object using a radial gradient. Next, we wanted to make a soup, so we started working with freeform gradients right here in the middle. So the freeform gradients, you put in drops. Think of it as dropping elements into water. They start to mix and kind of interact with each other. So they started to do that. As we put on those drops, we started to layer. Then we created more elements using carrots and using celery here, using either radial gradients to create a ball or using a directional gradient to create a kind of arc for celery. After that, we layered another freeform gradient on top that was multiplied. And we used this freeform gradient to multiply on top of our soup to really give it some dimension, to play with the different colors and the different interactions. Remember when you're doing this, the light parts, when you multiply, will go away. The darker parts will start to interact with your soup. So that's all that we did today. as we worked with a bunch of different kinds of gradients. Make sure, if you need to recap, watch those last few minutes of that recap. Make sure you do your creative challenges, and then make sure that you are posting in our Discord channel right here, like all these other people are doing. Hang out and post in our Discord. I will be live 8 p.m. tonight giving you feedback on your challenges on my Behance, which you can follow right here, hawk.co on Behance, or Instagram or Twitter, wherever you are on the internet. I will be there. I'll be there. All right, that is the end of our stream. I hit right on time, and we closed out with a nice little song. So remember, be kind to each other, find the good in any person, find the joy in any situation, and text a friend, see how they're doing. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11:30 a.m., same time, same place, here at our daily creative challenges. Bye.